Hey everybody, it's Spear, and today we're talking about the most impactful cards coming to us in BT4. The set is soon arriving. We got about a month-ish, give or take, before the cards come in, and it is a huge game changer into what we're expected to see in the meta, and some power of colors definitely shift around based on the new card support that we're getting in this next set. But before we get started, guys, if you want to pick up any of the cards that we talk about in today's video, I have to point you guys over to 3 Mana Inc., the best place to get your Digimon sealed and single product in Canada, guaranteed. And if you want to watch me play any of the cards in any fun and sick decks that we talk about today, then of course I stream every Monday through Thursday, and on weekends for tournaments. A link to my Twitch is down in the description down below. With that said, let's just jump right into the most impactful cards of BT4. And kicking us off is Yellow War Greymon, a great aggro piece in what becomes one of the most oppressive decks of BT4. 12 cost, a 3 to Evo, 11k DP. When attacking once per turn, you may add the top card of your security stack to your hand to unsuspend this Digimon and have one of your opponent's Digimon get minus 6k DP for the turn. So not only does it serve as a great form of aggression, but it also removes your opponent's board. So taking out the security to be able to get the extra aggro really doesn't matter when, one, you're just killing your opponent and you're just winning, or two, you're able to remove the threats that prevent them from being able to kill you even if you go off and take that life, which makes a huge difference in regards to the tempo, and this is what this card really allows you to do. Staying in the realm of what yellow does, we have Bushi Agumon, 5 cost to play 0 to Evo, 3k DP, and it has Rush. This Digimon can attack the turn that it comes into play. So this is really, you wouldn't think it's hyper impactful because it costs 5, you know, but at the end of the day, it does a lot in ruining your opponent's combat math. Let's say your opponent does a removal spell or he plays a big body, something that he predicts will be fine to do given the fact that your board doesn't have enough to be able to kill them. Well, now you can actually go and push even harder without them being able to expect it. Not only including the fact that yellow has a bunch of cards on the mega slot that actually plays 3-drop yellow cards. So there are multiple ways that you can get a huge chunky body, which allows you to attack even further, which is very, very impactful for the different things that yellow is going to be able to do moving forward, and just adds to even more aggro that we're seeing with not only War Greymon, but even on the lower slot, being able to punch in for more attacks than your opponent is expecting. Then we have Piedmon or Piedmon, and for some of these cards I am using DigiDev, so of course link to them down in the description if you want to build your decks and stuff, but Piedmon here more so as a placeholder for all of these blockers. The one that cost 1, they're 5k, so they don't have as much DP, but for a blocker that's usually fine, mostly because any of the champions that you would not want to block are 6k anyways. But at 5k you're protecting yourself from a bunch of ricks, and it just makes you a more efficient deck, and it very much pushes towards the trend that the more this game moves forward, while yeah, we might mess with the numbers a little bit, the more and more efficient a lot of these cards get. So now we have a 1-cost blocker, and it wouldn't be, honestly guys, I think it's not that crazy to say eventually we may see a world where champions themselves could be 0 to Evo. I'm just saying, because this is definitely the trend that we're seeing here, where we're getting more and more efficient ways of doing what we were able to do in sets 1, 2, and 3. So of course this extends into all the different colors. Purple gets Devimon, for example. Pretty much all of them do get access to these 1-cost blockers. Moving on to Loosemon, one of the secret rares of this set, and a very impactful one at that. We were just talking about how Bushi Agu is impactful not only because it messes with your opponent's combat math, but because it's a level 3 that has a very impactful presence when it is played for free. Of which that you can actually see when we talk about, Magna being able to play one, Mastamon able to play a 3-drop, Anubismon able to play a 3-drop, all of which, have a great way of not only recovering, but the fact that it's a big beefy 10k attacker, which is really annoying for your opponent to have to get rid of, especially since you played it out for free. So it just makes it really tough for your opponent to deal with it. Let's say you do Mastamon, well now your Mastamon was just straight up free. You get to be able to heal from it. Or Anubismon, now not only are you getting a great body that can just aggro your opponent because it gains rush, but also because you're actually able to heal another one. So Loosemon hugely impactful for what yellow and purple are going to be able to do moving into BT4. Then we have a Rise Greymon, and Rise Greymon here more representative of multicolor in general, being a great body that actually helps you be able to extend how, let's say, Shine Greymon is able to play. Now you're able to tech in some red, as well as being able to keep going with the Tamer motif, because on Digiburst main, you get to be able to play one of the Tamers. So this really lines up with what current strategies want to do, but also open up what new strategies want to do. Being multicolored means that you can evo into multiple things. It means that it opens up lines in which decks can be built. We already see Sylphimon being teched in to some decks, and this Rise Greymon really just allows you to extend that even further into other decks and really expanding the potential. So Rise Greymon's here, but Rise Greymon's really just more of a stand-in for all the multicolors that will additionally be getting moving forward. Then shifting over to green, we have Nidhoggmon. Probably one of the biggest reasons why HBD ended up getting limited. You know, just being able to turbo into a card like this that just straight up board wipes your entire opponent without even passing the turn if you ended up doing the HBD thing is incredibly powerful. It's incredibly game shifting. But doesn't matter, it does that in its own, even if you're not going to HBD it, and will definitely be a huge impact card. 13 to play, 5 to evo. 13k DP. When Digivolve, you get to Digiburst 4. So I will say that's the only hindsight. You really have to go full stack to be able to get Nidhogg's ability off. But very much worth it, because then you get to suspend all of your opponent's Digimon with 5k DP or less. Then place all your opponent's suspended Digimon at the bottom of the owner's deck in any order, and you get to trash all their sources. So that includes Megas, it includes Ultimates, anything that your opponent has attacked with this next turn. You have to keep in mind that if that card is rested, and you could do so with, let's say, even Flower Cannon, there are ways you can set this up that really makes it so that it's a huge, honestly crazy tempo swing, and it's really not that hard for you to be able to set it up, even if your opponent doesn't have a bunch of stuff rested, especially with all the cards that green has access to be able to force some rested stuff and then go into this. Then, of course, if we're going to talk about a powerful level 6 that green has access to, we have to talk about a powerful level 7 that they have access to, of course, in Chaosmon. Chaosmon here in both forms, not only giving green access to a level 7 now, but giving yellow access to a level 7 now, which really felt like what those decks needed to be able to push their power a little bit further. You know, black, red decks always being really great at being able to go into their Omnimons, blue able to go into Omnimons, and it really feels like sometimes sitting on a Mega that's done its thing, like let's say Nidhoggmon, really sometimes needs just that little bit more boost to be able to close out the game, and that's what these cards really give you the ability to do so. So starting off, we have the first Chaosmon. 15 to play, 6 to evo on a green or black, 14k DP. It has piercing, which is awesome on a big beefy body, especially in green where you want to be able to rest your opponent's stuff all the time. You're going to get the benefit of being able to pierce over them, especially when it has the when Digivolve ability, unsuspend this Digimon, then it can attack your opponent's Digimon. This effect allows you to attack unsuspended Digimon as well. So no matter what happens, you're going to be able to evo into this and clear out a Digimon, as well as getting piercing, which is great for tempo, as well as being great for board control. Alternatively, we have Valderarm, 15 to play, 6 to evo on a green or yellow this time, which is great. We love yellow finally having access to a level 7. 14k DP. When Digivolve, activate the following effect twice. One of your opponent's Digimon have minus 7k DP for the turn, so you get to clear out either a big body or 2 smaller bodies, which is phenomenal for board control. And on deletion, you gain 3 memory, so if your opponent deals with this, you're going to be able to get a bit more momentum swing on your side, because you're going to be pivoting it over to either getting it on your turn or, you know, turning their 7 memory play into a 10 memory play, for example, which is really great at being able to force your opponent to have to make some really awkward decisions and not get maximum value out of their turn. Then we have some great option cards in the form of Yellow Hammerspark and Purple Hammerspark. So Blinding Ray, activate main, trash the top card of your security stack, then gain 2 memory. Now, while sacking the top security stack can seem like a downplay, sometimes in yellow that's really what you want to be able to do. We were just playing with Cherubimon this week on stream, and that's a deck that really wants you to be at 3 security. Ubamon wants you to be at 3 security. Lots of effects will really want to proc there, and sometimes it doesn't even really matter, because then at 3 security is when a lot of your healing factors come in, a lot of your cards that give you an additional health. Well, then at that point we can use this to be able to extend our plays and probably heal out of it with like a Salamon or something afterwards. So it's not that big of a deal, and it's really great for giving yellow the ability to really pump up their tempo. The ability to go from 3 to 5, assuming you have a TK on board, is absolutely massive, and this is just as true for Drac Raid. You know, Blinding Ray not having the ability to check on security and do the thing that Hammerspark does, Jack Raid here being able to do so. So there's some trade-off, right? Because Jack Raid will only give you 1 on your first 10, but it can scale up to that. At 20 cards or more in your trash, you get 2 memory. At 3 or more, you go up and get 3 memory. So it really scales on that front. But to kick off, you don't get as much early tempo because you need to start filling up your trash first. So Blinding Ray better on that front, Jack Raid better off in that front, and the fact that you get the security check as well, which will gain you the 2 memory. which has won my opponents so many games when it was just Hammer Spark, and now we're going to see even more of it, which I create. Honestly, some very impactful cards, not high rarity or anything like that, although Blinding Ray is a rare to keep of note, but very impactful cards that completely change how these decks are played, how these decks are built, and really allow you to get even more momentum. Then we have the Ancients. Now, if it wasn't for the fact that we were going to get the promo cards, I wouldn't have included these at all, because while they're great, big, beefy, powerful cards, they're really clunky to get out. But because our meta is going to get access to the promos that turbo them out, that makes all the difference. So Ancient Greymon, 12 cost to play, 5 to Evo, 13 KDP on your turn. For each Digimon in this Digimon's digital cards with Greymon in its name or hybrid in its form, it gets security attack +1. So you're basically trying to OTK your opponent as far as Ancient Greymon is concerned. And on deletion, you may play one red level 4 or lower Digimon with hybrid in its form from your hand without paying its memory cost, meaning that you will be able to restart your engines once it's gone. Now this is powerful, but I do think Ancient Garurumon is the more impactful of the two because it's not so solo and linear in what it's trying to do. 12 to play, 5 to Evo, 13 KDP as well. When attacking once per turn, you may unsuspend up to 2 your Digimon with Garurumon in their names or hybrid in their forms. I think tempo-wise is better. I think it doesn't commit so hard to simply one body, and I think it really allows you to be able to push what blue can do. So I do think this one is the better one of the two. And as the same, on deletion, you get to play a level 4 or lower Digimon card with hybrid in its form. So honestly, I think Ancient Garurumon is the better one of the two, but we might as well include both of them because we are getting the promos for both of them. Agunimon and Lobomon both being able to either warp Digivolve all the way up into Ancient, and then at the end of the turn, you have to kill it, or it cheapens the cost as an inheritable if you're going to Evo up to that chain instead. So a lot of flexibility there in whether you want Evo, which definitely works for Ancient Greymon way more than Garurumon, or being able to just straight up turbo, which I think works most in favor for Ancient Garurumon. And in the long run, I think Ancient Garurumon is better, but they're both potential. I can leave it here, not because I guarantee that they're going to be insanely impactful, but because these promos allow them to be insanely more accessible than you would expect them to be otherwise, which is something to keep in mind. And then there's the starter deck cards. I'm just lumping these all together because, of course, there's no reason not to pick up all the starter decks. They provide great value cards. A lot of the one-cost blockers for the given colors, purple, black, and green, do live in these decks, so that's just something to consider. But some of the highlights I want to talk about, just a quick touch upon them. Nailbone is extremely impactful, especially since in the set we do get a Garurumon that can Digiburst into playing a 7 cost, making this a free play, which is insane. On Activate Main, you get to play a level 3 and level 4 from your trash without paying their memory cost. They do have to be purple. And on Security Check, you get to play a level 4, which could be a blocker, it could be a Devimon, it could be a lot of impactful cards. You know, level 4 is a great card to be able to get out. Then on the black side, we get Dark Side Attack, proper removal. Black has so few options for removal, it's actually insane. And the starter deck does provide you with a way to be able to do that. So 5 cost, it gets to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a cost of 7 or less. It's not great. Obviously, it's meant to combo with the Digivolve stuff that Black does, and I still don't think it's amazing. But Black finally has like a proper form of removal. So it's a card to keep in mind. The rest are all green cards because green honestly did get a huge boost going into this next set, and there's some really powerful stuff. You know, things that do work better with HBD, but nevertheless really impactful. Here we have Mega Kabuterimon, probably one of the best inheritables that green can have access to if you can set it up right or if you build your deck around it. On your turn, when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle and survives, which is what green is all about, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. And then green big bodies already have piercing, so you're probably clearing, you know, 1 to 2 security already anyways with the piercing if they have security attack +1 even more so. And now Mega Kabuterimon just doing a great job of being able to push that even further. Within that same line that does come in the starter deck, we do have Hercules Kabuterimon, a 12 to play 40 Evo. 40 Evo is a little bit sketchy though. I'm not gonna lie, that's the tough part. That's why HBD was so powerful with this deck as well, because it did mean that you had a safer bet of being able to go into this. But nevertheless, 12 KDP piercing, which combos really well with Mega Kabuteri, meaning that you are going to be able to get an additional damage off. And then Activate Main Digiburst for 2. You get to spend one of your opponent's Digimon, setting up the piercing, being able to get rid of probably your opponent's biggest threat, especially considering a lot of champions in green give you a power boost, meaning that odds are with the way your opponent's board is set up, if you can Digiburst and get rid of some stuff, then you will be able to punch over it. Then to wrap it up, we do have Needle Spray. Activate Main, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. You know, so Flower Cannon, but has the benefit that while not resting down all of your opponent's Digimon. It will rest one, and you get to have it to your hand, which means you get double usage of this card, which can be impactful if your opponent has blockers. So we're getting to a point now where there's really a decision to make as to whether you go with Flower Cannon because you want the more widespread effect from Security Check, or do you go with Needle Spray to get the double usage? And that's really kind of where those decision markers will come in when we're talking about those green cards. But with that said, guys, those were the most impactful cards of BT4. I may have missed some, so please let me know in the comments down below which ones you guys think I may have missed. There are some great cards out there. There's some great megas. There's some great option cards. There really is a lot in BT4 that can really serve to shake up what the meta is looking like. But if we're taking an eye on what we expect the meta to look like, I think most of the cards that we've talked about today are really going to take form in regards to developing and molding what the next meta is going to look like. I could have talked about Anubismon, of course, which combos with Loosemon, but I think Loosemon is really the glue that brings that together. And I think we've talked about the core pieces that really do all of that. With that said, guys, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Hey, if you dislike it, thumbs down works too. If you want to catch more of my videos, of course, we're doing more discussion, more breakdowns, everything wrapping up to BT4. Subscribe button's in the corner. With that said, I'll catch you guys on the next one.